Well, it's spring and baseball season is in full swing again, and I wanted to use a video for a discussion this time just to kind of summarize where I've been and where I hope to go in the near future. I had been very happy in the last few months to discover something that answer to a riddle that I thought I'd never solve, which is why the guys in the 1890s, Dan Brothers, King Kelly, why would they stand like this with the front foot pointed toward the pitcher, and the bat is invariably held at about buckle height, and their hands are usually spread and they're always choking up a bit? Well, I could understand the hands, but I couldn't understand what's the advantage of having the foot pointed outward. And then it occurred to me, this is just a simple step toward the pitcher. It's a way to throw your weight onto the front foot, and the hands are never going to ride very high. They're just going to follow the foot down, and then the head of the bat will descend into the ball. It's so important in all these things that I'm going to talk about, from the swing of yesteryear. And of course, we try to dismantle this and discuss it in detail on smallballsuccess.com, because we're all about trying to give shorter players a way to get on base and post high averages who can't necessarily hit the ball over the fence. And the way that we do that is to reconstruct the swing from what I consider the golden years, when guys would hit 400. Well, in all of those swings, it's very important to shift your weight forward, because you're bringing the bat head down onto the ball. That's why you don't need to lift your hands way up, because you're not hitting the ball with your hands, you're hitting it with the barrel. And the barrel's going to level off if you can get your weight shift forward. Well, again, back in the 1890s, you could do a simple leg lift and then come forward all the way off the back foot. And that's a pretty level stroke. They weren't hitting the ball very far necessarily, but don't underestimate guys like Dan Brothers. They were apparently occasionally hitting maybe 6, 8, 10 home runs a year that truly cleared the fence at over 400 feet perhaps. So those guys, we're talking about guys who could load wagons with barrels and grab the reins of 4 big horses, and these are guys whose hands were probably developed from farm work or manual labor that was at least the equal that any of our guys are doing in the gym today. I just think they get very underrated in that regard. Some of these guys were pretty darn strong. Nevertheless, as the century turned over, by the time you get to 1904, 05, you find that Brothers and David, what was his name, Jesse Burkett, and some of these guys who were very successful at the end of the previous century were struggling. Of course, we all get old. Hello, that's our military protecting us. I think what was happening was that the ball was being thrown faster. We know that velocity was picking up right about the turn of the century. So, this is really not going to catch up to some of the new fastballs. Just doing this, I think that some of the guys who were holding the bat lower were probably doing this so that they could skip with the back foot in their load, and then that's giving a little more oomph to their descent of the barrel into the ball. That's giving them some swing velocity. That's what they need in this new age. And I think for the most part, you find guys just discarding the setup with a forward, almost standing straight up and the forward foot just facing the pitcher. That's, by 1910, I can't find really any evidence of that. Guys like Ty Cobb are going into a crouch and feet close together, hands way out. And there's still a strong weight shift forward, but a lot of times Cobb doesn't although he's shifting forward 100%, he's not coming straight up perpendicular on his front leg. I think the reason that his hands are held so far out is because he still has to keep that level stroke somehow. If you start taking a long stride like that, and your hands also go back, your hands really can't catch up to your front leg. You're not going to shift your weight 100%. And what's going to happen is that you'll get that dip in your swing that's so common today, and was even getting common after World War II. Guys were taking that, were holding their weight back and taking that more dippy kind of a swing that encouraged pull hitting, and we hear so much about launch angle today. I guess I actually think that a lot of those hitters were hitting the ball right here before their barrel was ascending, but I guess you could probably also lift the ball if it was a high pitch with the ascending barrel. But that works for pull hitting. It sets you up on top of the plate. It gives you a lot of holes in your swing. Again, your weight is no longer shifting 100% forward. And I've read so many testimonies of guys who struggled with batting coaches who were born in about 1900 or 1890 and were trying to resurrect in their young proteges the style of yesteryear. But the young hitters, it wasn't being communicated very well, and they didn't understand that they needed to do that weight shift. Yeah, if you're swinging down on the ball, but you're not getting up on your front leg, then imagine trying to do this and swing down on the ball while you're, actually I think that's a kind of a common aluminum bat swing for today, or not so much today, but in the 1990s, in the steroids era, we had a lot of guys with a very steep descent into the ball, and they were not shifting forward, and their swing was very dippy. They got a lot of home runs. They also got a lot of pop-ups or weak grounders if they caught the ball with the bat on the way back up. The only productive way they could really hit the ball was when it was right over the plate. So you saw batting averages going way down. Here's what I'm going to be working on in the next few weeks. I had trouble with my old personal pitcher. That was probably because I wore the battery out and didn't even know how to take care of it. But I got a new one the other day, and boy, is it is kind of too juiced up. I mean, if you're standing 15, 18 feet away and the ball's like, I'm sorry, that's not a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. It's probably, I don't know, speed of light or something. But I was having a dickens of a time trying to hit that thing. And I think it was good, though, because it made me realize that if we're going to try to give lessons on this site for today's hitter, we need to address the more advanced hitter who might be facing really good college pitching. And some of those guys can really bring it. So, no, I don't think you guys who are out of baseball at the, coach pitch and that kind of thing, you don't want to do all the Babe Ruth stuff. You got to be really fast, but you can still use these techniques that we're talking about. This is what I'm working on now. I love the little load on the back foot. Right now, it's not so much of a hop as just a creep into the pitch. And here's what I do that's different and new, and I think it gives me that extra speed. I'm creeping into the pitch, and then I don't know if you can see it from that angle, but I'm trying to curl my front foot in. I'm still keeping this leg straight, but I'm curling that toe down, I'm curling that foot in, and I'm letting my hands go. They're still out, but they're going back, perhaps a little farther. I can set up this way, but I'm going to curl the toe in, and then I can fire my foot and my hands into the pitch at the same time. I just unload like that, and it's the quickest release into the ball that I can imagine. I haven't been able to find anything that's faster, and I'm using that little whip of the foot to help me generate more speed in my hands. I still like loading off the back foot because, I don't know, that creates some kind of energy. It seems like it's stopped at this point, but it's still there. It's stored in my body, and I'm not necessarily going to get off the back foot entirely on a real fast pitch, but I've got my weight transferred forward enough that I'm leveling off my swing as my hands descend into the ball. And again, I'm not putting my hands way back here. I'm still putting them out, but I'm just letting them go a little farther back. So I think that anybody using a metal bat and facing really fast, or using a wooden bat, even better, if you're facing real fast pitching, I'm going to try to do a demonstration showing that, but there's a source of a little extra speed there. And you know what? I'm getting away from Ty Cobb now and back to my hero, Tris Speaker. I didn't intend to do that, but I kind of discovered that, wow, the things I'm working into right now, this is the little hop off the back foot, and because Speaker had his forward leg doing something and his hands were a little farther back than Ty's, they weren't straight out. This is Tris Speaker. So I think we're making progress into something that will create low line drives today, but we've also gone back a century and discovered one of our heroes of yesteryear again. Happens a lot.